Tonight, an unprecedented blockade. Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville telling CNN he is not letting up on his one-man protest that is holding up nearly 160 military promotions. These promotions include, all sorts of high-ranking posts, and they are around the world, the Pacific, Middle East, NATO. In fact, this could even impact the naming of the next chairman of the Chiefs of Staff. And it's not Democrats only that are criticizing here. Republicans now are saying Tuberville's tactics have gone too far. Sunlen Sarfati is out front.
I'm not going to let our military be politicized.
What typically is a very routine process of approving military promotions in the Senate has now become a high-stakes standoff.
The senator from Alabama's hold on hundreds of routine military promotions is reckless. It damages the readiness of our military and puts American security in jeopardy.
Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville single-handedly holding up the promotions of 158 military nominations over his opposition to the Defense Department's unrelated policy on abortions.
Y'all got the American taxpayer on the hook to pay for travel and time off for elective abortions. And you did not make this with anybody in this room or Congress taking a vote.
The Pentagon's policy, which officially went into effect last month, expands access and support for service members and their dependents choosing to get an abortion, providing travel expenses if they are stationed in states that ban or restrict abortions, and allowing paid leave to do so.
It's not about abortion per se, it's about taxpayer-funded abortion, and it's against the law.
Tuberville's maneuverings blasted this week by the defense secretary.
Almost 80,000 of our women are stationed in places where they don't have access to non-covered reproductive health care. This policy is based on strong legal grounds.
Saying the move is a national security threat, putting 3- and 4-star generals in limbo in critical areas like the Pacific, the Middle East, and the U.S. military representative to NATO as the war rages on in Ukraine.
It's a powerful effect and will impact on our readiness.
The stalemate has grown increasingly divisive on Capitol Hill.
They're becoming political hostages. That's all.
Sparking weeks of intense debate.
There is no precedent for what the senator from Alabama is doing. It has never been done. Stopping the U.S. Senate from taking up promotions for uniformed military officers.
And even dividing some Republicans, criticizing Tuberville for his approach. It's a tactic that he chose to use, Republican Senator Deb Fischer told Punchbowl News. It's not one that I would use. Tuberville attempting to downplay the impact of his blockade.
This is not the end of the world.
Even as he recommits.
I'll continue to have a hold until I get to sit down with people in the Department of Defense.
And if this doesn't get resolved, the Senate Majority Leader could work around this. Schumer could bring up each and every one of the nearly 160 nominees to the floor on their own for an individual vote rather than en masse like it's typically done. But that is a very time-consuming process that could eat up days, potentially even weeks of the Senate's time. Aaron?
All right, Sunlen, thank you very much. And I want to go now to someone you saw profiled in Sunlen's reporting, the Democratic Senator Michael Bennet. He has been one of the most vocal critics of Senator Tuberville, and he's a member of the Intelligence Committee. So obviously, national security front of mind for you. So you just took to the Senate floor again tonight, Senator, to condemn Senator Tuberville's actions here, what he's chosen to do on this, blocking these nominees. Why do you feel so strongly about this?
Well, Aaron, thank you for having me. I feel strongly about it for two reasons. One is no senator in the history of America has ever had a blanket hold on the promotions of flag officers in the United States. You know, we heard today it's the 5th fleet, it's the 7th fleet. These are really important things. So that's point one. But point two is we need to ask ourselves why Senator Tuberville is doing it. And the reason he's doing it is he is objecting to new policies from the Department of Defense that say that if you are an enlisted person in the military, or anybody in the military, and you find yourself in a situation where you need an abortion, that the United States government will pay for you to travel from a state like Alabama, which bans abortion with no exceptions for rape or incest, that the United States will pay for you to travel like we do with LASIK, that you don't have to use paid leave to do that, like we do for LASIK. and that women who find themselves confronted by this incredibly difficult choice actually just get a little bit extra time before they have to decide whether they talk to their commanding officer about the condition they're in, which, by the way, raises all kinds of profound privacy challenges. Those three things is what has led the senator from Alabama to say, in the wake of the Dobbs decision, overturning a woman's right to choose, that he's going to hold up every flag officer in the military.
Now, a question for you. Obviously, his tactics are one thing. What he's saying is another, right? He's saying, and I know you heard him say this to Manu Raju, that you could separate this from his view on abortion, that this is actually to him about American taxpayers having to pay for abortion, which he says is wrong because that policy has not come up for a vote in Congress. And here's how he put it.
We don't have a national security problem here. We got a problem with the Department of Defense trying to make law. And they weren't elected, we were. They want to run it through us and we vote on it. I'm good with that. But go through the proper channels.
What do you say to that? That this is actually about having taxpayers fund these abortions, that he says what's wrong?
Yeah, first of all, he's saying, if he is saying that, what he's saying isn't true. And I have to say, I don't think that's what he's saying. He's saying that the Defense Department will be an abortion travel agency because it will be paying for travel. I don't think even he is trying to make the claim that abortion would be paid for, which again is what makes this even more outrageous. But the second point is that things have changed dramatically for women serving in our military since the Dobbs decision was reached that overturned Roe versus Wade, and he seems not to understand how complicated the world has become. So I don't think it's a correct statement of the law that he said. And the second point is that he has not made an objection, nor has anybody on the Republican side, to the fact that people travel for LASIK, the fact that people travel for bunions, for other elective surgeries. We've never heard any complaint about that, and that's not passed by the U.S. Senate. Those are regulations that the Department of Defense puts in place, just like the regulations they've put in this context when it comes to a woman's reproductive health. No one objected on the floor of the Senate or held up every flag officer because people had the right to go get LASIK under a regulation by DOD. It's just because this is the issue of abortion, which, as I have said, is all but banned in his state. And
all right. Well, Senator, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
All right.